Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com with another initial analysis of the Steelers' 27-14 victory over the Miami Dolphins in Week 8. Steelers moved to 3-4 on the season, a game they absolutely had to have, obviously, if they lost this one, and unfortunately for about a quarter of this thing, it looked like that was a real possibility. The season would have been over. We were talking about next year and really, who's getting fired and who's coming back and all that stuff. But in typical Steelers fashion, they gave her the heart attack early, then they turn things around, figure things out, settle in, and score 27 unanswered points to keep the Dolphins winless where they need to be, where the Steelers need to be, winning games, trying to stay competitive and relevant in this not only AFC North race, but wildcard race as well. But to the game itself, obviously a really tough start, especially offensively. It's obvious Mason Rudolph very rusty, missing. The Chargers game then had the bye week and just a lot of time missed for him to come back. And a young quarterback doesn't have a lot of experience. Obviously, that's going to be more evident in a young guy being rusty than say a veteran like Ben being rusty. But it's going to be evident for anybody. So I think that's what you saw early from him. His pocket presence was poor when it's normally been good this year. He was constantly throwing off his back foot, making poor decisions. The interception was just a lame duck throw where he didn't need to throw it then. He could have stepped up into the pocket. He could have rolled out. He could have stepped into the throw maybe a little bit better. Then, nearly got picked again on the left sideline on that throw to James Washington. Got bailed out by the DB having his foot just on the sideline there. So it was a tough start for Rudolph, but what became evident was, and it was really clear with that third down play, he hit Deontay Johnson on the left sideline in the shadow of his own end zone, was that he warmed up, he settled in, and I think what I admire most about Rudolph is how mentally tough this guy is, how fearless he is. I mean, to be a quarterback, to be a good quarterback, I should say, in the NFL, you got to have a short memory. You got to be able to put that last play, if it's a bad one, behind you and move on to the next. And you see a lot of quarterbacks in football that just can't do that. I don't want to pick on him because I like his game overall, but Sam Darnold is the guy that was getting compared to Rudolph early for the whole seeing ghost things. Well, Rudolph in that game, granted against a much tougher opponent in New England, but a team that runs similar concepts because Miami's head coach is Brian Flores, the DC in New England last year. Darnold never turned things around. He was never able to kind of put that last play behind him, and you saw it domino and spiral as the game went on. For a guy like Rudolph, he's able to turn that corner and make a positive play and then start building and getting some energy and some rhythm off of that. And so it wasn't perfect. His ball placement needs work. There were still throws off his back foot. I'm sure there's still a dozen things, even when things got better second quarter on, that he's going to go back and say, I should have done this better. There's going to be things that I talk about, that Dave and I talk about and discuss on the podcast and in breakdowns where we say Rudolph still could have been better. He still left plays out on the field. But you just saw a guy that had composure, rhythm, and just kind of was able to make something out of a really tough start. And those are really important traits to have, to be mentally tough, to be composed, and to be able to turn around a really horrendous start. And it was a terrible start. The sack he took was on him for sliding into pressure. It was not on Matt Fowler. They're running a stunt. Could have just stayed where he was at. But really turned things around. But obviously was aided by multiple factors, including the run game, where James Conner goes for a $145, second most in his NFL career, and the Steelers end up running for about 160 yards on Monday night, well over 5 yards per carry and a touchdown. So to be able to have that run game going, to be physical, to help grind out the clock early whenever you couldn't get the pass game going, and then especially late to help close that one out. With Rosie Nix being back, that was obviously crucial, but the whole line up front did a good job, whether you're talking B.J. Finney coming in for Ramon Foster, David DeCastro pulling right to left in typical fashion. The line did a nice job up front. There were some penalties that were annoying. I think the team finished with 9 in total, but overall you were able to establish a ground game, which really helped you early and definitely helped you close things out late. Sticking with the offense, Juju Smith-Schuster making plays, Mason Rudolph being able to chuck it downfield, trust his guy to make a play. I talked about that so much throughout the week. You got to trust your receivers to make big plays. Kind of throwing a jump ball to Juju down the left sideline. He goes up there, plucks it off the corner, makes a play. Deontay Johnson being a playmaker had that great catch that was negated by just a bad offensive pass interference ruling by the officials. So you come back on 3rd and 20. I don't know what Miami's doing, blitzing the house with 8 guys on 3rd and 20, but you take it, you set the protection correctly. The ball's still got to come out hot because they're rushing more than what you can possibly block, but you find the open receiver. Johnson makes a nice play. James Washington with big blocks downfield, both on that touchdown, then the James Conner touchdown. He only had 1 catch tonight. Could have had more. Rudolph gave him some bad balls, but Washington found a way to make an impact beyond the stat sheet. Really impressive from him. Impressive job by the receivers all around making plays. And that'll build trust in Rudolph. When Rudolph knows that there's tangible evidence of his guys making plays, like conceptually is that Juju can make plays, but whenever you see it in action, when Rudolph throws that jump ball to Juju and he comes down with it for the touchdown, that's really going to help the next time Rudolph's making that split second decision, do I throw it or not in a future game, and just having that that tangible evidence that, hey, Juju's made this play for me in the past. It'll give you the confidence to do it again and put the trust in him to make a play. So I think it's going to help you. It obviously did help you short term in Monday's game, but it's going to help you down the road as well. So nice job offensively to help turn things around after that really shaky start. And the group as a whole kind of stayed composed and together and made big plays. And that's the name of the game in the NFL. You got to make big plays, chunk plays, and the offense did, and they ran the ball really as well as they have in any game tonight. So good job all around. Defensively, though, again, just kind of keeping this team in it, and as the offense figured itself out and tried to, work through their early woes, the defense made big plays. We're up to 19 takeaways for this defense. That's just an insane number. They had 15 takeaways all of last year, and we've already shattered that number. They're going to probably put up a 30 burger in the takeaway column the way things are looking right now. And you tack on 4 sacks and just the chaos that they created. It was phenomenal. So that's the biggest difference with this defense. Obviously, there were a lot of new faces, and schematically things have been tightened up, I think, a bit, and more clarity and more experience, and it's always going to help the cohesion of the group. But the name of the game for defense is to create turnovers. Offenses are going to move the football. They're going to be able to pass and run a little bit, and the way they call pass interference, like that's going to happen. So your defense has to counter that by creating big plays, by stealing possessions, by setting up short fields for the offense, or robbing the opposing offense of being able to score in the red zone or close to the red zone. So that's what the defense did consistently tonight. Help get this offense back into the game, help give them short fields, taking away possessions. And then once you're able to build a lead, the pass rush went to work. Whether you're talking Cam Hayward, Bud Dupree had some good pressures, even if he ultimately did not record a sack. TJ Watt with 2 sacks tonight. He's an elite player. He really is. Run game, coverage, leadership, toughness. Obviously, the pass rusher, we're going to do a film and breakdown on him, how he's able to set up his rushes, and he starts wide as a pass rusher in games to rush with a speed rush to the outside. And then once tackles begin to sit and cheat on that, he's going to counter to the inside, and just worked over that poor right tackle for the Dolphins. I think Jesse Davis, I believe, is the right tackle, but regardless of who it was, just absolutely just manhandled them in the second half, and you got pressure and forced some tough throws from Fitzpatrick, and you're able to get their offense out of rhythm, not able to use their run game and things like that. So Minka Fitzpatrick with 2 picks tonight. Great ball skills. Tomlin's talked about that. Bill Belichick's defined 2 different traits for DBs. Ball skills is ability to make a play on the football, is in breaking it up. But then you have hands, as in the literal ability to catch the football. Minka Fitzpatrick has the best hands, I think, from any Steelers DB, probably since Troy. And he's up to 3 picks already on the season for Pittsburgh. That leads the team. He's 1 away from becoming the first player since Troy in 2011 to have 4 interceptions in a season. That's currently the longest drought in NFL history. So he's 1 interception away from breaking a pretty big drought in not only Steelers history, but as it relates to NFL history as well. So really excited for that and the playmakers you have, whether you're talking TJ Watt or Devin Bush or now Fitzpatrick in the back end of things. So, regardless of where this team ends up picking in the first round, even if it is between 10 and 15, which might be a tough pill to swallow, I think it was the right move to trade for Fitzpatrick to give you that bona fide playmaker, as opposed to trying to now find a safety in the draft with that pick, where this team hasn't drafted too well in the secondary, and can you even identify that guy, find that guy, get that guy? I mean, you never know. So you get that known guy now. I think that's a move well worth doing, and the results have paid off, not only this game, but in basically every game that Fitzpatrick's played this year. He had to play a bad game, and certainly had super impactful games. We were talking San Francisco or tonight against the Dolphins. So overall, good job. Not the prettiest win, obviously, but I don't care how this team wins. I just care that they stack wins, that they get those dubs, because that's how this team has to climb back into it. I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care if it's pretty. Tom will say, we're not here to get style points. Just got to get victories, got to get back in this AFC North race, AFC wildcard race, and you're in it. 3-4. You got short week here, but you have Indy coming to Heinz Field. They're a good team, absolutely. They got a good run game. They got receivers that can create big plays. A defense that's well coached and is a technical group. But Steelers are back in it, and it may not be an ugly, it might not be a pretty win against the Colts if it comes to that. But I don't care. Just get the victory. You know the way this defense is playing, it's going to keep you in games. The offense will, I think, continue to get better. It may take a while. There we're going to be ebbs and flows. They're not going to be a strength of this team, but they're going to be competitive in most of these games. They've been playing close games all year long, with the exception of really the Patriots game week 1, and then the Bengals game. But that was obviously a blowout victory, so you take that whenever you get it in the NFL. So happy with the victory, happy with the toughness of the group, and yeah, I'm going to shut up here and stop rambling. But really nice job, Oliver. Another thing with James Conner briefly I want to touch on is with his pass protection. His pass pro was excellent, and I thought that might have been the best trait that he showed, ability to consistently identify and execute his blocks in pass pro. And that's saying something because he ran the ball super well tonight, and hopefully his shoulder injury is going to be okay. Tomlin seemed to hint that it's relatively minor. If it's an AC joint and a sprain, that's maybe a 1 week thing, maybe not even that. James Washington, Vance McDonald missed a week with a similar AC joint sprain, but with Conner being a back, being a tough guy, we'll see what happens there. But it shouldn't be anything that's going to be too long term. At least fingers crossed for that. So specialist Chris Boswell missing the 54-yarder. Hey, that's a tough kick. Just bummed that's going to be his first miss of the year. Kicked well regardless. And then Jordan Berry, I think, averaged about 50 yards for a punt tonight. So he's having a really good season as well. All right, guys, that's my thoughts on the game, and we'll cover this week, and we'll talk about the good and the bad. There's still a lot to discuss, still much to improve upon, but Steelers get the win, and that's all that really matters right now. They move to 3-4, and they'll play Indy Sunday night at Heinz Field. Thank you guys so much for listening, whether you're doing so on YouTube, follow me on Twitter at Alex_Kozora, or follow on the website, SteelersDepot.com, and we'll talk to you soon.